From the alley-oops at Keysar to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, and the season has finally ended. Seattle defeated the 49ers 26-23. It wasn't all bad. The 49ers played well for parts of this game, but what's really going to be fun is talking about what's going to happen to this team. We're going to go over this game, but then you don't want to miss, we're going to go over the season in review, and we're going to get jump-started on this 49ers off-season.
It was a hard-hitting, at times fun game to watch. The 49ers played a very good Seahawks team down to the wire, missing, I don't even know the number of starters. They were down to third stringers in some spots. They came out, they gave everything they had. It was really fun to watch up until the end. It was an entertaining game. On to the next one.
We got a little bit of time till the next one, but yeah, it was a good game to watch. It was a fun game to watch. It was exciting. It was an exciting game to watch. All the things that we hoped they could try and accomplish very early in the game to try and control and slow down that Seahawks team, they did a pretty good job of, and it led to an exciting contest until late in the fourth when all of a sudden the Seahawks offense kind of figured it out.
Yeah, it was the first half of this game was eerily reminiscent to the first half of the first game that they played, but I thought that overall Robert Saleh's game plan was so much better. But the offense, But Horst, what was your offensive key matchup in this game, and was it a win for the 49ers?
My offensive key matchup for this game was the O-line picking up the blitz. Because in the first game, especially Bobby Wagner blitzed at will up the middle and just really gave it to Garoppolo. This time, I would say the blitz pickup might have been better, or definitely wasn't any worse, but still, once again, our quarterback was under a lot of pressure. Now, keep in mind, we were down Trent Williams, who graded out as the NFL's #1 offensive tackle by Pro Football Focus.
It's true.
So anytime you lose a player like that, it's really going to hurt. One guy that I'm kind of hard on, a lot of people are, but I'll at least admit when he proves me wrong, was I thought Mike McGlinchey had a really good game. He played much better today than he has been. Yes, you know what I mean. He played much better. He run blocking is always stellar, but his pass blocking, I thought he played really well. And once again, though, their offensive line's struggles pass blocking really affected the game.
Yeah, and it kind of leads for me into my key matchup, which was if you're not going to get the blocking completely dialed in, the wide receivers have to be able to create some separation. That was my key matchup. And I think they did an okay job. I don't know if I'd necessarily give them a win, per se.
I think you need to give somebody a win.
I'm definitely not going to give Kendrick Bourne any wins here whatsoever. Maybe we give River Craycraft a slight win for getting open on that one and then giving a nice little first down after that catch where he almost rips his own shirt with his cleats. But for the most part, I think that the 49ers wide receiving core did a better job than they have done in the past and all season long, with especially when you don't have Debo and Ayuk in there, of getting themselves open in space and extending drives, especially when we needed drives extended. When we needed to put points on the board through the first three quarters, the wide receivers did a great job on third and shorts, second and longs, creating space, giving Beathard an area to put the ball into, and Beathard put it there. And you saw later in the game, too, that big throw to Kittle down the seam where he goes up with one hand, awkwardly grabs that bad boy sucker, falls to the ground, pops back up. When you're letting a quarterback feel like he's in rhythm and he feels comfortable back there, at least comfortable with the guys he's playing with, he's willing to take some shots downfield like that. And then you have a guy like Kittle who's an all-pro who's going to go up and make plays and give that offense that extra little jolt. It was nice to see. I was really worried that we weren't going to see anything of life of the offense. I don't know if it's a huge W. I mean, it's a little tiny win for the receiving core. I was impressed with it. I didn't expect to see any separation whatsoever. So the fact that they got some, I'll take it.
Kendrick Bourne played fantastic in this game. I thought that really he made plays that he needed to make. Without him, they would have been in a lot of trouble. Richie James getting that ball deep down the field
That
was
nice.
a great play, and probably wish he could do that a lot more. There wasn't much separation, but the ball was right where it needed to be, and Richie made a nice play on it. My key matchup was CJ Beathard finding Jamal Adams and locating where he was at all times, and Jamal Adams didn't disappoint. He came on blitzes, but once again, you did see that he was a liability in coverage. That's not where he is very good, but where he is good and all pro level is inside the box making plays in that type of way. But I thought Beathard did an okay job recognizing him. Jerick McKinnon really did a good job of recognizing him and took a chip off the old shoulder there. So hope it hurts. But overall, I thought that CJ Beathard's problem was not so much locating Jamal Adams, but was locating open receivers. He missed George Kittle for a touchdown. He missed Ross Dwelley for a touchdown. And I told Horst that's the difference, because that's 11-point difference. They got field goals, on one of them, and that could have had, or it actually could have been two, but that's the difference in the game. You got to turn field goals into touchdowns, and he really didn't do that. So unfortunately, I think it was a win locating Jamal Adams, but it wasn't a win in locating open receivers, which ends up being the difference in the game and the difference between the 49ers beating Seattle and kind of ending on that high note.
Exactly.
That was a very good point, and yeah, Jerick McKinnon really lit up Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
Of all people to hurt him, McKinnon, it was funny.
It would be a shame if Jamal Adams couldn't play in the playoffs, huh?
Yeah.
Real shame.
Not good at all.
So pumped about playing in the playoffs, coming from the Jets. Finally, I made it.
So that's it for our offensive matchups. Now, Alex, what was your defensive key matchup?
My defensive key matchup was Warner and Greenlaw versus Chris Carson, but as we all know, Greenlaw didn't play. So mostly just Fred Warner versus Chris Carson. And I got to say, Fred Warner did yourself quite a job there. He only had one reception out of the backfield, 11 carries, 44 yards. I know it's about 4 yards a carry. It's not a bad average in the NFL, but he didn't have really any big, huge, gigantic runs that he busted out. The D-line played pretty gosh darn solid all game. I was surprised by how much pressure they were putting on Russell Wilson early in the game. You love to see that, and when you're seeing stuff like that, you see Fred Warner, when the D-line's getting some pressure like that, a couple times they sent him on blitzes, he was right in Russell Wilson's face, had a big sack. Fred Warner played absolutely phenomenal, like he has all season. All-Pro Fred is it's just a sight to behold, man. I'm so glad that dude's in a 49er uniform, and hopefully going to be in a 49er uniform for a long, long time to come.
Yeah, the Al-Shaair playing at linebacker along with Flanagan Foles, I thought that both of them stepped up and showed some promise. Maybe we have, good backups going into the next year. Mm-hmm. Flanagan Foles definitely finally getting his opportunity, and he didn't disappoint. He had good coverage, and he played overall well. I've seen him getting the thick of things at the box, making plays, and so that was good to see. Now, my key matchup was Robert Saleh and the 49ers putting pressure on Russell Wilson. And I thought once again that Robert Saleh came up with an excellent game plan. They brought pressure. They also used Fred Warner as a spy a lot of times on Russell Wilson. Didn't let him get comfortable. They were aware of where he was at all times. When he got outside the pocket, there was somebody there trying to get with him. Now, they did go away from it a little bit in the third, and then especially in the fourth quarter for a while when Russ started cooking. And then you saw him on that last drive get it going again. They were trying to use Fred Warner in coverage, and when he's spying, they can't. But overall, the blitzing, especially from the slot, bringing Dante Johnson for a sack. Fred Warner coming up the middle with the stun up front with the D-line, another sack. So it was a very good job by the 49ers, especially Robert Saleh once again. This time, he put together a full defensive game plan compared to what happened last time when Russ figured him out. This time, he kept adjusting, and he kept Russell Wilson uncomfortable and off balance, and it was great by him. He's one heck of a defensive coordinator.
Like you said, hats off to Saleh right there. It's not often you see Russ look uncomfortable in the pocket that often, or uncomfortable back there, but they kept him uncomfortable the whole game. And my defensive matchup was Verrett and Witherspoon versus DK Metcalf, because Russ seems to struggle a little bit when Metcalf struggles, and I'm going to double down on that statement. Russ had less than 200 yards passing. Metcalf only had 3 catches for 21 yards. Witherspoon flexed all in his face. That was pretty funny.
Flex and
he
wiggle,
did get
too.
beat for the touchdown at the end of the game.
He was very upset about that.
But, he did finally turn and start finding Tyler Lockett in the second half, but he struggled. He barely completed 50% of his passes.
It's true.
He was not the same quarterback as the first time they faced him when Metcalf went off. It kept the Niners in the game the entire game. He was uncomfortable. He looks to him first a lot. And he was locked down by both Verrett and Witherspoon. And I still think they did a fantastic job on him. Hats off to both those guys, because that is not an easy matchup.
Not at all. Not an easy matchup. But you know what is easy? For you to subscribe to this page by clicking that big, fat subscribe button. And while you're there, hit that little bell next to it so you get notified every time we post on the podcast, on the channel. You don't want to miss any of this glorious content. Like the video, and might as well just comment while you're down there. Do you agree with Horse Double Down? Do you think that Russell Wilson struggles? What if he cannot locate DK Metcalf? Because it sure did seem like it this weekend. Let us know in the comment section down below. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to banter back and forth with you. But now, guys, it's time for The Block is Hot.
It is.
It's time. Block is Hot. Week 17, the last one of the year. Ant, in this big rivalry game, who do you got? Who was hot on the block in Week 17 versus these Seattle Sea Chickens?
Well, there were several players that on defense that played fantastic. I thought overall it was a great defensive performance. But the guy I'm going to go with is the guy that would not back down, was welcoming to this challenge, and went after DK Metcalf. I'm going with Jason Verrett. He could possibly be every week almost, unless he's going against Stephon Diggs. But he played really great in this game. He did not allow DK anything up the field. They played off. They allowed DK to, run these underneath routes and then close on the football. And the closing speed for Jason Verrett is at a different level this year than what we've seen since he's had all of his injuries. So it was a fantastic performance from him. And anytime you can slow up a guy like DK Metcalf, then you're playing at a high level. And I thought that he did a fantastic job.
My block is hot player of the game is going to a guy that plays neither offense nor defense.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm going with Tristan Vizcaino.
Oh, gosh.
Comes in off the street, never kicked in an NFL game, goes 3 for 3 on field goals. It was big time and kept the Niners in the game. Never give the special teams guys a shout out. There we go. Tristan Vizcaino. Remember the name because that's probably the only NFL game he's ever going to play in.
This will be the one time all year where a defensive player didn't win a Block is Hot award. That's impressive, Horse. I'm so happy that you did that. And in all honesty, I'm really glad that you did it so I could give some love to Akilla Witherspoon for Block is Hot, defensive player of the game, because other than the last play where he got beat, he looked solid for a majority of the game. It was good to see Akilla out there flexing a little bit, giving a little bit of a wiggle, going out there with some swag, playing at a high level. He looked really, really solid, really, really good up until that last play. And even on that last play, I don't feel like he got beat that bad. Great job of extending the play by Russ, putting the ball in space like only Russell Wilson and a few guys in the NFL at the quarterback position can do. Tyler Lockett makes a great catch. Akilla Witherspoon, hang your head on it, but get back to work, man. Get back to grind, because if you can, he's got the potential to start for this team next year, but he's got some things he's got to improve on.
I feel sorry for him because he's playing man coverage on a crossing route that goes all the way across the field.
Yeah.
And there's a blitz on, and they're counting on the blitz getting home, and it doesn't. And it leaves him vulnerable for that
Absolutely.
play. Of course, other commentators, the people that talk about this stuff, think that he looked bad in this game, Grant Cohn. But you're completely wrong, Grant Cohn. He stacked 3 good performances up at the end of the season, and he played well, and that's a tough route to cover. I know you want a top-flight guy to cover that, but as a second guy, Jason Verrett was covering everyone. As a guy opposite of him, it wasn't such a bad look. At the right price, Akilla Witherspoon is someone you could bring back, because I did see an improvement over the years, except for the little bit of a fall-off last year after the injury, but I think that was a confidence thing. I think the confidence is back, and definitely the aggressiveness and the tackling was at an all-time high, because he was laying the wood this time.
Yeah.
That was an extremely difficult route to cover. And, Russ did his Russ thing and extended the play an extra 3 seconds and allowed Lockett to get open. That was a tough assignment right there.
Right.
It was.
On a drag route.
It was. I mean, is anyone really shocked that Grant Cohen said something stupid?
No.
I mean, let's be honest.
No.
That's like the
I think that's what language he speaks.
Yeah, it's his default setting, is stupidity and dumbness. But it's fine. It's fine, because you know what? We need to talk about... Woo! Something big happened this week. Season 1 of Lock It Up wrapped it up. We already knew there was going to be a champion. We knew that Ant was going to take the whole thing. Horst, that's right. You finished under 500. I don't want to hear it from you at all. We had 3 people finish under 500 in Season 1 of Lock It Up, but only one of them matters. That's the man who finished just above 500 with a nice 0-3. A nice 0-3 finish this week, but it doesn't matter because he brings home the championship gold. Anthony Robertson, Season 1.
I am victorious. I am the champion. It was tough, I'll be honest, picking the 49ers almost every week when they lose 10 games does not do good for your record. But
it doesn't.
You won by not picking them.
It's true.
It's true. I did.
How's that feel, by the way?
How's that feel, Horst?
Wear that hat with shame.
I don't wear it with shame. You know why? I'm cerebral assassin. What can I say? I made the right picks at the right times to beat
Cerebral assassin.
You saw the shirt last week. It was very cerebral. I did what I had to do to win. I was successful. I appreciate it. You can come at me for Season 2 of Lock It Up.
It was accurate, too.
It was very accurate.
It's too bad I didn't have the intelligence to do that.
Let's be honest. If you would have done that, I would have figured out a way to defeat you. I would have picked one game the same as you.
Thank God I called that guy.
I was not losing going into the last week.
Well, you didn't. You pulled it out.
I know.
Super impressive.
I wish the 49ers would have won, though. I wanted that one.
It's true. I wanted that, too, but...
I would give away my Lock It Up title in a heartbeat for a 49ers Super Bowl.
The Azorian one doesn't know what this is about.
No, he doesn't. Oh, but we should thank the Azorian one
Absolutely.
for being on Lock It Up. The videos that he posted or that he sent to us all year long were fantastic, and he did a really good job of helping mix it up. He's completely right. You can go listen to talking heads that talk 49ers football the entire time, but you come on here and you get not just the information, but you also get some comedy and some fun as well. And he did a great job of adding some, variety to our show.
Yeah, he was fantastic all year.
Absolutely. Here's to 2021 and hopefully getting you in studio.
Yeah.
For Lock It Up.
That's right. We need one time to have a Steve's in studio for Lock It Up.
One time.
Hey, maybe we can get him to be on our draft special.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
That would be really fun.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah, this season was supposed to be a revenge tour, and it really wasn't. It was an injury tour. The 49ers, from the beginning, just suffered injuries. And I thought that, they really dealt with it coming into training camp. Just the injuries started out with Jalen Hurd and other guys just missing practice for maintenance days. And I thought that they just never got it going. You could tell in Arizona, or when they played Arizona in week 1, that they really didn't have it going. And it just kind of went through the whole season. The injuries were just too much. We lost too many players at key positions. There was a lot of learning from this. I think the 49ers, in a normal season with a normal training camp, would have had less injuries, but they didn't. And this is kind of what you're dealt. And now we're going to have an interesting offseason because they're going to have to make a lot of decisions on these, close to 40 or 40 plus free agents that are going to be out there. Horst, what did you think about the season overall? And kind of, what did you think? Was this what the outcome you saw after the first couple games, or?
It's definitely not the season I wanted. I don't think it's the season anyone involved with 49ers football expected or wanted, whether that be coaches, front office, players, fans, anyone. But after Bosa and Jimmy and Sully went down in week 2, I know we right away had people, that's 1-15 or that's 2-14, and tank for Trevor and all that nonsense. And I know professional sports are not about, moral victories and things like that, but I think it really is a credit to Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh and the entire staff of coaches, how much respect they have from those guys, and 2, from the entire the entire organization, what the kind of culture they've built around there. Because outside of the Dolphins game, there was not a game that they didn't look like they could win at one point during the game. They played everyone tough. They were scrappy. They went through 3 quarterbacks. They went through 71 running backs. They went through, 10 plus wide receivers, 5 tight ends. I don't know how many offensive and defensive linemen. And they just kept at least playing hard, and they kept staying in games with that group. So I'm impressed, honestly, with the job Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch did this year, keeping this team from totally imploding and going 3-13, 2-14 with the level of injuries they had. But I think it's something they can build off of. Got a lot of guys playing time that maybe wouldn't have gotten playing time had this season gone the right way. Maybe we saw some things in some guys that we wouldn't have seen that are going to stay around now. That's the positive outlook of what happened this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of negative, and it's really easy to dwell on the negative. It's really easy because it's everywhere. It's abundant. It was every week, every day. It felt like there was some new drama or something new happening that was going to dramatically affect how this team could and would perform on the field. The fact that they overcame everything that they overcame and got themselves that close to a playoff berth, that close to finishing 500. Pretty much every game in conference competed with teams who everyone said, every talking head, everyone spoke before the season about the NFC West being the toughest division, the toughest conference in all of football. I think it lived up to it despite the injuries that occurred in San Francisco and with now the Rams towards the end of the season. Seattle's dealt with them now at the end of the year, and the Arizona Cardinals. Despite that, it is one of the best conferences, if not the toughest, in all of the NFL. And the fact that this team nearly pulled out the playoff berth, nearly took out everyone in the division at least once, is incredible in and of itself. As Horst said, it's a testament to this organization and the culture that's been built here, because you look at organizations and franchises like Jacksonville and the Jets who have some talent. There's a lot of talents on the defensive side of the ball for both teams. And the fact that they can't put together more than a couple wins, they can't figure it out with all the moving pieces they have, it should be an eye-opener for everybody that's a 49ers fan, that we have something here that's special, it's unique. You don't see that very often. It's very rare that you get an organization, a coaching staff, a GM, a front office, an owner that can put this together and maintain it when everything goes as haywire and as bad as it goes. You usually see finger pointing happening. You see a complete implosion at some point, somewhere, even if it's just at the end of the season, whether it's just an overreaction and you let go of the coach or the GM because of all the injuries. The fact that everyone's pretty much on the same page and the bonds are strong going into the offseason. Super excited for what that may mean for this team going forward. And the adversity that they had to face and overcome this year is going to propel this group, the core especially, forward light years. I mean, they're going to develop and grow as leaders and as in terms of champions too, like what it's going to actually take and the things you may have to face in order to get back to where you want to get to your eventual end goal. It's just going to make getting back to the Super Bowl that much more important.
I think the perfect storm of negatives happened this year, but what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of big-time things that come out of it, because these negatives presented opportunities to see different things. Number one, the first thing I saw once again is that the 49ers struck gold in the first round of the draft by getting, the big defensive tackle Kinlaw, and then also getting Brandon Ayuk, which Brandon Ayuk and Kinlaw are foundational pieces for the next 4 years, and it's going to be awesome to see the growth there. But what you also saw was that they had just talent throughout the entire organization, and that talent kept stepping up. And as the season went on and they kept losing players, when you thought you were going to get guys back, and then all of a sudden, like those guys, more guys got hurt, you would get guys back, and it was like, man, what are we going to do? They always found somebody to go out there, and it was always a new name. You're talking about guys that we didn't know were going to develop, but over the last few weeks, especially like on the D-line and the O-line, you started hearing names like, Kevin Givens and Alex Barrett and guys like that you didn't know were going to be developmental pieces, but they were able to, play in games and be successful. Demetrius Flanagan-Foles. So all throughout, you have these guys that the 49ers have found, developed, and made players. And so that gives me a lot of excitement going into the offseason because I know that we have a good front office that is locating players and was able to maneuver around $81 million being on the injured reserve, which is an NFL record. The most injured players in a season being on IR, it's an NFL record.
117 games?
Yeah.
Jeez,
they
Louise.
broke records, and yet they were still a competitive football team in the NFL. And that it goes to show just how great the organization is, how good the coaches are. We've done Behind the Whistle, talking about the coaches that are on the staff. And anyone that's calling for any of these coaches to get fired, I call into question your knowledge of football because these guys did a fantastic job with the hands that they were dealt, and they executed at a high level. All these guys should be commended for going through all these protocols, all these injuries, and still pulling out a 6-10 season. 2 years ago, I would have loved the 6-10 season. Last year, kind of got us up there where we thought, but you know what? This also meant another blessing in disguise is we're going to be playing a bottom of the division schedule next year, which means we get to play, Jacksonville, Detroit, and those type of teams that are the Texans that are on the bottom of their divisions. The 49ers have a favorable schedule and an opportunity to really strike gold and get back to the Super Bowl next year.
Absolutely.
It might be a little bit of a homer take, but I truly do believe that this is one of those minor setback for a major comeback situations.
Yep.
Like I said, I don't think there's any team in the league that would have suffered the barrage of injuries to those positions.
I'm sorry, but you made me think of Mike's situation. The comeback is always greater than the setback.
Exactly. But I don't think there's any team in the league that would have suffered those losses at those positions and would have still won more than 6 games.
Yep.
I think he did an incredible job, and I agree with you. Anyone that's got a problem with their coaching staff or front office right now is silly. And it's also good that we're seeing guys they've drafted be successful. From, like you said, Kinlaw and Ayuk to Dre Greenlaw, who was a 5th-round pick, Fred Warner, who was a 3rd-round pick, Kittle was 5th round. They're finding talent deep in the draft, not just in the 1st round. Tavarius Moore was, 6, 7?
Believe so.
I don't remember.
Jimmy Ward.
He's late.
Jimmy Ward originally looked like a bust in the last 2 years, has come on now and become worth his draft status. Tart was a 2nd-round pick. They've really got a good core made up. A lot of it is guys that have been drafted by this organization. And that's not even mentioning Bosa, who unfortunately was out all year. But I'm just echoing what you said about this is a good group at finding players and developing those players. They seem to work in sync, and I think it bodes really well for the future of the organization.
Yeah, it definitely bodes well. This organization has everything that it needs to not just be successful now, but be successful for years and years to come. But you know what? The real big question now is, what's next for us? With the season being over, there's not a lot left on the table for us to discuss 49ers-wise. There's plenty of things to talk 49ers-wise. There's a lot of things coming up, too, in the here and now that the Niners aren't going to be a part of, which is why, starting on Thursday, we're going to have our playoff tournament bracket. We're going to be breaking down the playoffs, every matchup in the 1st round. We're going to be making our predictions for who we think is going to go all the way, who's going to come out on top, what we think some good, fun games to watch would be, and we also have some other big, important things coming up as well.
Yeah, we're gonna be still covering 49ers, but we're gonna also get into the playoffs and enjoy football because we're all big football people. But you're not gonna want to miss what's coming up. We're gonna get into the 49ers roster, and we're gonna go over all the free agents, and we're gonna go through who should be staying and who should be going. That's something you're not gonna want to miss because we're gonna get into it in depth, and that's gonna be big time. We definitely want you here so you can see it and go through it with us and let us know what you think when we do. That's going to be kicking off next week, so you don't want to miss any of those episodes.
I guarantee you our takes will be different than a lot of the than the majority of Niner fans on some of these players. I can guarantee you that.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, and we're gonna give you some reasoning behind everything too. So you can expect a lot of, especially with things changing with the podcast. We're growing. We're trying to try new things. You're gonna get a lot of film breakdown. You're gonna get a lot of analysis, a lot of information, as well as the easygoing, laughable nature of the podcast as it currently stands. So you're gonna have a good time. You don't want to miss any of it. We're gonna talk pre-draft. We're gonna talk free agency. All of it's coming soon. Just have to sit tight just a little bit till we get through playoffs and get a little bit closer to when restricted free agents are to be signed, so we know who is available, who's on the table as well. So just be patient with us. We're going to get there, but it's going to be a huge event coming soon. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, this off season is going to really kick off. We haven't even been going for a year yet, and this is going to kick off really kind of us kicking off and going full blast into it. It's going to be a full off season of our takes on the 49ers and what is going to happen in every single aspect of the game as far as what pertains to the 49ers organization. And there's going to be a lot of specials and a lot of fun stuff that's going to happen. We want you to be involved, but the only way you can be involved consistently is to make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we put up a video, and even here in the future when we go live.
We're gonna go live.
We're
thinking about it.
We're thinking about going live for some live streams. We're definitely gonna hit some. So be ready for that. It's gonna be coming, and a lot more great content will be coming very soon. Right, Horst?
Yes, sir.
Our next episode is going to be airing on Friday at 5:30 Pacific. Make sure you check it out. We'll be having episodes all throughout the off season, leading up to the season, every Tuesday and Friday, 5:30 Pacific. Make sure you're here. Hope you guys have a great new year. We're off to a better start already. So I think that's it, boys.
It's going to be specifically at 5:30.
Yes, very, very specific. You were accurate. That's very specific.
Very accurately. Let's chalk the first one up of the new year.
Whew, first episode of 2021. All right, you know what time it is, boys. Let's chalk another one up.
And my partner over here is telling me we're going to have a real hard time with that horse cut feature, so that's going to be... That's spicy.
Is that a life partner?
Yeah, no, it's an editing partner.
Oh,
you know, he does editing.
Well, you're the one that said he.
I'm aware. Oh my. Jesus, horse.
No, my first name's Alex.
I know. I'm aware.
Not Jesus.
Is it?
My first name's Alex, not Jesus.